The ring hit the floor. She laughed. My heart stopped. She walked away, and I realized I'd been played. The real betrayal? It was just getting started. It's funny how your life can shift on a dime, isn't it? One minute you're living in your own little world, thinking you've got everything figured out, steady job, decent apartment, and a relationship you thought was built to last. Then, without any warning, you find yourself standing in front of your friends, your family, all eyes on you, holding a ring that feels more like a weight than a symbol of love. That's what happened to me on the night of Melissa's birthday. Yeah, that's right. I proposed. And yes, she laughed in my face. But let me take a step back. My name's Adam, and at 30, I had one of those lives people talk about when they say things like, yeah, he's got it together. I was successful enough at my job as an app developer, not enough to be in the Forbes list, but enough to make a good living. And Melissa? Well, she was everything I ever wanted. She was smart, ambitious, funny, and damn, she looked like she stepped out of a magazine. I'm not saying I was punching above my weight, but let's just say I never had trouble finding an excuse to smile when she was around. We met 3 years ago at a friend's party, nothing glamorous, just a bunch of people in their late 20s pretending they had their lives figured out. But with Melissa, it felt different. We clicked. We talked about books, the future, our favorite restaurants, and before I knew it, I was spending every weekend with her. Fast forward to a year ago. I had a plan. A big one. I wanted to ask her to marry me. We had that kind of relationship, where we could joke about the future but also get serious when the conversation called for it. The only problem? She kept dodging the topic. She was busy with work. Or focused on her career. Or my personal favorite, let's just enjoy what we have now. I thought she was just being cautious, maybe unsure about the whole thing. Who knows? But I was convinced we were on the same page. Or at least, that's what I told myself. So, last week, I decided to make the big move. I saved up. I bought the ring. I planned the whole thing, an intimate proposal at her birthday dinner, surrounded by friends and family. Thought I had it all figured out. But here's the kicker. The night I proposed, I was already fighting off a migraine. Work had been brutal, deadlines were pressing, and I hadn't had a good night's sleep in days. But nothing could ruin this moment. Not when I was finally going to ask the question that was going to change everything. We were at this fancy restaurant downtown, the kind where they bring you water before you even ask. Everyone was there. Her family, my family, a few friends we had in common. All dressed up, glasses clinking, candles flickering like some kind of romantic comedy. I had the ring in my pocket, my palms were sweating, and every breath I took felt like it was about to explode out of my chest. The waiter brought out the dessert chocolate mousse with a little glass dome on top. Underneath, there it was, my proposal, literally and figuratively wrapped in a bow. I stood up, trembling, cleared my throat, and began my speech. I won't lie. It was cheesy. I butchered a couple of lines. But I got to the point. I asked her to be with me forever. She laughed. It started small, like a nervous giggle, but it quickly escalated into this full-on, "Are you serious right now?" laugh. I stood there, frozen, my heart sinking with every second that passed. I was still holding the ring, still smiling like a moron. And then, she said it. "You weren't supposed to take this seriously," she chuckled, patting me on the shoulder like I was a child who had just asked for a toy. That was it. Right there, in front of our families and friends, I had just been humiliated. I didn't know what to do. I stood there for what felt like hours, the ring heavy in my pocket, my throat closing up. She turned and walked away. Just like that. The silence that followed was deafening. I felt like I could hear the distant hum of a bad joke being made at my expense, the eyes of everyone in the room burning through me. But then, I did something unexpected. I sat back down. I didn't say anything. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just quietly put the ring back in its box and waited for the chaos to unravel. It didn't take long. The rest of the night went by in a blur. I don't even remember what happened after she walked out. People tried to console me, but their words felt like they were being said from a distance, as if I were submerged underwater. All I could think about was how I had just been humiliated. In front of everyone. But I wasn't angry. Not right away. What hit me harder than the laughter was the realization that Melissa wasn't just embarrassed or surprised. She was playing me. And I had been too blind to see it. I don't know how long I sat there, pretending to be okay. My mind was racing. The whole night had been a setup. A charade. I'd been the joke, the punchline. But the worst part? Everyone knew. I left the restaurant early. The quiet hum of my car's engine felt almost comforting as I drove through the empty streets. I didn't go home, though. I didn't want to face the mess I had left there. The empty apartment. The smell of her perfume still lingering in the air. The whole life I thought we were building. I went straight to my best friend, Kyle's place. He'd been at the dinner, but he hadn't seen what happened with Melissa. He hadn't seen the video either, but I had a feeling he'd been just as clueless as I was. Kyle answered the door, his face full of concern as soon as he saw me. "Dude, what happened? You alright?" I looked at him. I couldn't speak. I was choking on my own confusion. Instead, I pulled my phone out and handed it to him. The video. It was already viral. Kyle's eyes widened as he watched it, my kneeling, the laughter, the words that had cut me deeper than any knife could. "Jesus, man," Kyle muttered, handing the phone back to me. "That's brutal." I nodded, sinking onto his couch. "It's not even about the proposal anymore, Kyle. I don't even care that she turned me down in front of everyone. What hurts is that I've been living a lie. She's been playing me this whole time. And I'd been too damn stupid to see it." Kyle rubbed the back of his neck, clearly uncomfortable. "So, what are you gonna do now?" I stared out of the window, the city lights flickering in the distance. "I don't know. But I'm done. I'm done trying to be the guy who fixes everything for her, who supports her while she lives in some fairy tale." "Fairy tale?" Kyle looked at me, confused. "Yeah," I said, my voice hardening. "She's been stringing me along for months. Telling me she's not ready for marriage, but all along, I was her safety net, her financial cushion, her backup plan. And now I know she never took me seriously." I stood up abruptly, pacing the room. "I'm done being the fool, Kyle. She's not just laughing at me, she's laughing at the life I gave her. I bought her that ring. I saved for months. I made sacrifices for us, and all along she was planning her exit strategy." Kyle stood up, moving toward me. "Adam, this isn't just about the proposal. This is about you. You've got to take care of yourself now. Screw her, man. Take back control." That's when it hit me. Take back control. I didn't need her. I didn't need anyone who could sit there, in front of my family and friends, and tear me down without a second thought. I didn't need the woman who had played me for a fool, who had pretended to love me while secretly planning her escape. I left Kyle's apartment that night with a plan. I knew I had to act fast. I had to wipe the slate clean. The next morning, I woke up with clarity. I made a list of everything I had to do. First, I called the jewelry store and returned the ring. It wasn't just about the money, it was the principle. The damn thing had been a symbol of my commitment, and I didn't want any trace of it left in my life. Next, I contacted our landlord and started the process of breaking the lease. I hadn't realized how much of my life I had tied up with her. It was sickening, really. But the apartment wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was that I had to cut ties with everyone who had been involved. Kyle. My friends. Her friends. All of them. They all knew what was going on, and they never said a word. They let me walk into that proposal blindfolded, knowing full well that Melissa had been stringing me along. So, I did what any sane person would do. I contacted a lawyer. A good one. I started gathering all the evidence. All the little things that added up to a lifetime of manipulation. And then, I sent the email. I sent it to everyone, her family, my family, the friends who had known and done nothing. The message was simple. I know everything. You don't get to play me anymore. I attached the video of her laughing. I attached the messages from her friends, congratulating her on handling me. I attached the receipts from the countless gifts I'd bought her and the places I'd paid for us to go. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, I saw her post. It wasn't the one she had made to her friends, the one about how we were just having fun. No, it was the one that shattered my final illusion. "Thank you, Adam, for everything. But you weren't ever really it for me." She posted that while I was sitting there, staring at my computer, watching the world I thought I knew collapse around me. I deleted it. I deleted everything. But it didn't stop the flood of emotions that came rushing in. I had loved her. And now, she was just a chapter one needed to close. Now, it's my turn. A few days passed. The email I sent had done its job, people were talking, making excuses, and I could feel the walls closing in on me. The thing about public humiliation is that it doesn't just affect you, it reverberates through everyone who's involved. And boy, was I involved. I wasn't prepared for the sheer volume of calls and messages. Every time my phone buzzed, I braced myself. Some of the messages were apologetic, some were defensive. But no one saw what had happened the way I did. Kyle called first. "You good, man? You didn't exactly leave on the best note," he said, his voice unsure. I couldn't even muster a response at first. What was there to say? I don't know anymore, Kyle, I said, running my hand through my hair, feeling the weight of everything. I thought I knew her. Hell, I thought I knew myself. He paused before speaking again. You've gotta let this go, Adam. It was a setup from the start. She wasn't in it the same way you were. You've gotta start moving forward, dude. I knew he was right, but that didn't make it easier. It didn't make the sting of betrayal hurt any less. I hung up, staring at my phone. Melissa's number was still saved in my contacts. That simple little icon, her name staring back at me, a constant reminder of the past I needed to bury. But I didn't delete it. Not yet. Instead, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I focused on me. For the first time in years, I was the priority. I started going to the gym again. I spent evenings going through old hobbies I'd neglected, playing guitar, reading books I'd never gotten around to. I found solace in the small, mundane acts that had always brought me peace before. But then, one morning, my mom called. Adam, we need to talk, she said. Her voice was soft, almost cautious. I heard about what happened with Melissa. I groaned, rubbing my temples. Great. Just what I needed today. Look, I know this is hard, she said, but why didn't you tell us? Tell you what? I shot back, frustration bubbling up. That I was being played? That my fiancé turned out to be a joke? You think I need to explain that to you? To anyone? That's not what I meant, she replied, her tone a little more firm now. We're your family, Adam. We should have known. You've been acting distant for months, and now we know why. But you can't shut us out. Not now. I ran my fingers through my hair, sighing. I didn't know what to tell you. I didn't know how to explain it. I was embarrassed. I'm still embarrassed. She stayed quiet for a long moment. I get it. But you need to reach out to your father. He's worried about you. Don't bring him into this. I don't need his pity, I muttered. You'll regret it if you keep going like this, she warned. Family's all we have, Adam. Don't burn that bridge too. I sighed, the weight of it all pressing down harder. I'll think about it. I hung up before she could say anything else. That afternoon, I went for a walk. The air was sharp, biting at my skin, but it felt good, reminded me that I was still alive, still here. That I could still breathe. But as I walked through the park, I saw something that stopped me dead in my tracks. There she was. Melissa. She was sitting on a bench, her legs crossed, phone in hand. She was laughing with him. That smug little bastard, Liam. The guy who'd been sleeping with her while I was out there, busting my ass to build a life with her. They didn't see me at first, but the moment I caught her smile, something twisted inside me. I wasn't sure if it was anger or something darker, maybe even pity. But I wasn't ready for it. I turned around and walked away, my fists clenching. I didn't want to be weak. I didn't want to be the guy who confronted her again. Not anymore. The next day, I got an email from her. I almost didn't open it. But curiosity got the better of me. Subject, I'm sorry. Adam. I've been thinking a lot about everything, and I know I've hurt you. More than I can even express. The truth is, I never meant for it to go this far. I was scared of what we were becoming, scared of what I wasn't ready for. But the way I handled it was wrong. I've hurt you, and I see that now. I just want you to know that it wasn't about you. It was about me and my own fear of commitment. I'm sorry. I stared at the screen for what felt like an eternity. My heart was pounding in my chest, but I didn't feel relief. No, I felt anger. She wasn't sorry for what she did to me. She was sorry she got caught. I didn't respond. I knew I had to be done with her for good. I went to the bank later that week, took a long, deep breath before entering. As I sat across from the advisor, I made the final decision. I was going to take control. I moved my money. All of it. Took it out of the joint account we had and transferred it into an account that was only mine. And just like that, it was over. Not just with her, but with the whole damn thing. The days that followed were a blur. My phone stopped buzzing. My inbox was eerily quiet. And the more time passed, the more I realized just how much I had been drowning in that relationship. I wasn't just losing Melissa, I was losing my sense of self. But here's the thing, I was going to be okay. I didn't need anyone's validation. Not hers. Not my family's. This was my moment. My time to rebuild. And I wasn't going to let anyone stand in my way. I thought I would feel some sort of catharsis after cutting Melissa out of my life. After taking my money, my dignity, and my future back into my own hands. I thought that once I could see the emptiness of our relationship from the outside, I'd be able to just move on, let go, and rebuild. But, as it turns out, life isn't that clean. The pieces don't always fall back into place as neatly as you expect. I started with the basics. I got a new place, small, minimalist, just me and the bare necessities. No more shared walls, no more smell of her perfume lingering in the bathroom. I sold the furniture we'd bought together, got rid of every item that had any trace of her in it. And I didn't look back. I focused on work, rebuilding my routine, finding distractions, whatever it took to keep me from overthinking. But no matter how much I tried to fill the silence, there were nights, those long, quiet nights, when her face still crept into my mind. It wasn't just about the proposal. It wasn't just about the laughter. It was about everything that led up to it, the lies, the manipulation, the subtle ways she made me feel like I wasn't enough, like I was just a tool in her life to make her feel stable while she kept searching for something more. It was the realization that I had been walking on eggshells in my own relationship. And when I finally tried to break through the surface, to ask for more, to make it real, she just laughed at me. But the more I let myself think about it, the more I saw the big picture. I wasn't just a victim here. I had been complicit, too. I had let her control the narrative. I had been afraid of losing her so much that I never questioned her actions. And now, with the reality of it all finally sinking in, I realized I wasn't just angry, I was angry at myself. At the fact that I had ignored my gut feelings for so long, that I let her dictate the course of my life. About a week into my new life, I got a call from Kyle. "You're not answering your texts," he said. "You good?" I rubbed my face, trying to clear the sleep from my eyes. "Yeah, just. I'm dealing with some stuff." "You know," Kyle said, his tone lighter, "you really should get out of your apartment. Go somewhere. Anywhere. Just leave the past behind for a while. Go see something new. Hell, get drunk at a dive bar and forget her name. Whatever helps you." I chuckled. The thought of getting out felt oddly appealing. So, I made a plan. I booked a weekend trip on a whim. No destination in mind. Just me, my backpack, and a couple of beers. Somewhere that would make me forget everything. Somewhere I could breathe again. But that wasn't the end of it. Not by a long shot. 3 days before I left for my trip, I ran into her again. I was walking down the street when I saw her. Melissa. She was crossing the street, looking just as flawless as ever, her head buried in her phone. For a split second, I froze. I didn't know what to do. Should I pretend I didn't see her? Should I keep walking and act like it didn't matter? But something inside me snapped. I walked straight toward her. "Melissa," I said, my voice low but steady. She froze when she heard me. She looked up, and I saw the confusion in her eyes. "Adam," she asked, her tone somewhere between surprised and defensive. She quickly adjusted her hair, trying to act like she hadn't just been caught off guard. "Yeah. It's me. Funny running into you here." She laughed, but it sounded nervous. "What are you doing in this part of town?" "I'm just living," I said. "Just like you are." She shifted on her feet, looking at the ground. "I didn't think you'd be in the area. You've moved on already, huh?" "Why wouldn't I?" I said, forcing a smile. "I'm better off without you, Melissa. The more time passes, the more I realize how right I was to let you go." She blinked, surprised by my confidence. "I didn't expect you to be this calm about it." I tilted my head, taking in her words. "I wasn't calm. I was in denial. But now, I see everything clearly. The game you were playing, the lies you told, and how I let myself be the fool." Her face faltered for a moment. "I'm sorry, okay? I didn't know how to handle it. I was scared, Adam. Scared of what you expected from me." "That's the thing," I said. "You were never scared of me. You were scared of being exposed. But you don't get to make me the villain here. You don't get to hide behind your excuses." There was a long silence between us. I could see the unease in her eyes, but she wasn't backing down. Instead, she stepped closer, almost like she wanted to bridge the gap. "I'm just trying to be honest now," she said, her voice soft. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "You didn't mean to hurt me? Or did you just not care?" She swallowed hard, and I could see her composure cracking. But this wasn't the time for her to get emotional. This wasn't my moment to play the nice guy, to give her sympathy. "I'm done with you, Melissa," I said, turning away. "Goodbye. Don't come back into my life." And just like that, I walked away. The days following that encounter were a blur. I took my trip. I found a new rhythm. I met new people, saw new places, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free. I was living for myself, not for anyone else. But the anger? The desire for vengeance? It was still there, bubbling beneath the surface. I wasn't done yet. I wasn't done with the people who had used me, the ones who had laughed while I bled. I knew there was one final move I needed to make. One final message to send. Melissa, her family, my friends, everyone who had laughed at my expense. It was time they learned what it felt like to have the tables turned. I spent the next few days in a haze of satisfaction and anger, knowing I had made the right call by leaving Melissa behind. But something still gnawed at me. Something wasn't finished, and I wasn't going to let it slide. Not when I had the power to rewrite this entire story. Not when I could finally be the one to get the last word. I had to make them pay for what they'd done. But not in the way they expected. No, I was going to take the high road, and then burn everything down with the kind of precision only someone who'd been through it all could understand. A week later, I saw Melissa again. This time, it wasn't by accident. I'd been plotting this for days, careful with every move. The way I'd been humiliated in front of our families and friends, how they all knew about her betrayal, about her lying to me and using me as her personal bank, well, I wasn't just going to let it disappear. I wasn't going to let them all pretend like nothing happened. I wasn't going to let them keep their smug little smirks while I was the one left holding the shattered pieces. I knew she'd be at her favorite cafe. She always went there on Sundays to meet her friends, to act like nothing was wrong. That's when I struck. I walked in like it was any other day, but the difference this time was that I wasn't just there to observe, I was there to set things in motion. I waited until she was deep in conversation with her friends, laughing, the kind of laughter I once thought was real. When she didn't see me, I made my way to the counter, ordered my coffee, and waited. She looked up a minute later, her face changing instantly when she saw me. That split second, that moment of recognition, that was what I had been waiting for. Adam? She stood, her voice nervous but steady, trying to play it cool. What are you doing here? I looked at her, a tight smile pulling at the corner of my lips. Oh, I just wanted to stop by. You know, get a coffee, maybe catch up. Her friends were all staring at us now, curious, but I wasn't interested in them. I had bigger plans. You still haven't returned my stuff, I said, my voice casual but sharp. Her face flushed. I told you, I didn't want any of it. Right, I said, leaning against the counter and crossing my arms. You didn't want any of it. But you sure didn't mind taking everything else I gave you, did you? My money. My time. My trust. You just used it all. She opened her mouth, but the words were caught in her throat. It was almost pathetic how much she was trying to justify herself. I wasn't interested in her excuses anymore. I'm not here to fight, Melissa. I'm here to make sure you and your little crew understand something. You see, I'm not just some guy you get to discard. And I'm certainly not someone you can make fun of, no matter how much you laugh behind my back. I could feel the weight of her friends' eyes on me now, their expressions shifting from confusion to discomfort. I leaned in a little closer, speaking softly but with intent. You know, I could have let you walk away. I could have let you get away with this. But I didn't. Because I'm not like you. I don't run away from the truth. And I'm sure as hell not going to let you keep playing your little games. She stepped back, her face paling. What are you talking about? Did you really think I didn't know? Did you really think I wouldn't find out what you and your family were planning behind my back? I have every text, every conversation, every detail of the lies you've been telling me. Her eyes widened, and for the first time, I saw genuine fear. You're not the victim here, Melissa, I said coldly. You're the villain in your own story. And I'm done being the fool you get to walk all over. With that, I pulled out my phone and showed her a single screenshot, a message thread between her and her friends, talking about how they were planning the entire thing from the start, how I was just a convenient fallback, how they were waiting for him to pop the question so they could laugh behind his back. The room went deathly silent. Here's the thing, I said, my voice growing louder now for everyone to hear. I'm not just gonna walk away quietly. You don't get to destroy me and think you can keep going with your life like nothing happened. I'm not some backup plan. I'm not your joke. And this? This is me taking back control. I turned to leave, my heart pounding, but I knew it wasn't over. I had made my statement, but there was still one final thing I needed to do. The following day, I reached out to Ryan. Yeah, Ryan. Melissa's ex-fiancé. The guy who was too blinded by his own ego to see how deeply I had been screwed over. It was time to clear the air. Time for him to see exactly who he was dealing with. I met him at a bar, figured it would be easier to get him alone without all the noise of his family around. He looked as lost as I felt, but more disoriented, as if he were still living in the aftermath of what had happened. Ryan, we need to talk, I said, sitting down across from him. He looked up, surprised. About what? You think I'm still hung up on Melissa? We're not together anymore, man. Don't play me for a fool, Ryan, I snapped, leaning in closer. I know exactly what you're doing. I know about the lies, about how she's still stringing you along even though she's been with someone else. You've been her backup plan too, haven't you? His face fell. The truth hit him harder than I expected. I don't know what you're talking about, he stammered, but I could see the cracks beginning to form. I pushed the folder across the table, the evidence I'd gathered. It was all there. The emails, the messages, the lies they had fed to each other. And just like that, Ryan understood. What I did next wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about getting back at them. It was about reclaiming the pieces of my life they had taken for themselves. I was done being their joke. Done being their stepping stone. I walked away from that meeting knowing that I had won. Not because I had exposed them, but because I had finally taken my life back. And this time, I wasn't looking back. The story's over, but the journey's just begun.